let's check this video out.
People love to tell a woman to pick better men. But here's the thing, men don't start out being abusive or being shitty. If they did, we wouldn't date them. Especially if you're with someone who's a narcissist or an abuser, they don't show you who they are right away. Once you start to see who they actually are, you probably already love them. You're invested in the relationship and you care about this person. You don't want to bail at the first red flag or the first fight or the first time things get sticky or hard. You believe in giving people second chances. You realize that people are human, that you're not a perfect person either, that sometimes people just go through a rough patch. And then you make it through that rough patch and things get better. And a couple weeks or a couple months or a couple years down the line, it happens again. And you're even more invested in this person. And maybe you've started to intertwine your lives. Your friends know each other, your family knows each other. Maybe you've moved in together and share bills, or you have a pet. And we've also been conditioned as a society to expect that relationships are hard. Ask anyone who's been married for 20, 30, or 40 years. They'll tell you marriage is hard work. You have to make compromises. So that's what we do. And then they tell us to pick better. What if men were just better? I'm not the only one who has this experience. Go to any of my videos and read any of the comments. This is a shared experience by the female collective. And one person having a beautiful marriage is not an experience of the collective. Honestly, good for you that you have had an amazing marriage for 46 years. But also, shame on you for shaming people that haven't. And especially as a woman. And anytime someone says, I've had a beautiful marriage or I have a beautiful relationship, I want to believe them, but then I think about the relationships I've been in that I thought were wonderful. And then I look back on it and see that actually it wasn't wonderful. So I wonder what's going on that maybe the woman is choosing to not see or that she isn't seeing. People love to tell a woman to pick better men. But here's the
This is the insanity of women. The absolute. This is why I make these videos, right? The absolute insanity of women. This is the thing, right? It is 100% true. You, women, they need to pick better. Or you know what? It's like this is the difference, right? Not even pick better, pick differently. That's the thing, right? Pick different. Let's change it up, right? Pick different. Women choose who they allow into their life. Women choose who they allow have their body. Women choose who become fathers. Okay? Women choose it, not men. Women have the selection of men because men go after women. Women can say no to whoever they want. Okay? Men have to go up to a woman to even get a chance. While women just sits there and just takes it, right? So they have the pick of who comes up to them. Or hell, they also have the chance of picking, right? Picking who they want. But that's the thing. You pick who you want. Okay? It's not necessarily you picking who wants you. You pick who you want. Because most men will come up to you no matter regardless. Right? So it's you choosing who you want. So let's break this down.
People love to tell a woman to pick better men. But here's the thing, men don't start out being abusive or being shitty. If they did.
But here's the thing, okay? How many times you hear about women's intuitions, right? Women are investigative, right? Women will, and I've had women do this. I have women talk to me like this where they figure everything out about you, right? They will stalk the crap out of you. Your social media, talk to your friends, talk to your family, really drill it in, figure out everything about you. And yet, I've heard it constantly. Women will consciously ignore red flags. Yes, they're not abusive. Yes, they're not necessarily lying in the beginning. Okay? But this is the thing. How about putting some effort vetting the man? How was his last relationship? How did his last relationship ended? Right? What does his friends think about him? What does his family think about him? What does his ex think about him? Okay? This is the thing, right? How about spend years with this guy? Figure it out. No man can hold a facade for years on end. Don't give him children yet. How about this, right? see if he wants to marry you before you have kids with him. See if he wants to commit to you before you have kids with him. There are ways where, you know what? You're actually vetting the person. You're actually figuring out the person. How about putting some effort, brain power, into figuring out a person? Okay? That's the thing. How about this, right? And this is my own personal thing. How about no private? This is the thing. No privacy. Because I can never, and here's my personal opinion, I can never understand the purpose of privacy in a relationship. You literally enter your partner. You literally have sex with your partner. You literally see their most private parts. And yet you want, password lock screen. You want to, talk on the phone but in another room away from your partner. What? This is the thing where actually if you put some brain power into it, you would understand. But this is the thing, right? Women ignore red flags. How many times let's say this, he's been to jail. Well, that's a red flag, right? How about this? He doesn't want to marry you, but he wants to have kids with you. That's a red flag. There are plenty of red flags women will willingly ignore to the point where they become victims and then they blame the man. No, you chose to ignore these red flags, right? You chose to allow these men to treat you how they treat you. You allow this, right?
We wouldn't date them, especially if you're with someone who's a narcissist or an abuser. They don't show you who they are right away. Once you start to...
You can see signs of narcissism, right? True narcissism, right? You can see signs of it. And abuse, if he hits you once, leave. But this is the thing, right? Don't let these lies fool you. I personally, how many times us men, us people have heard a woman going back to the abuser? Synonymously, I've heard that plenty of times. I've heard so many times, right, of women going back to an abuser. I've heard plenty of times of people helping a woman, right, escape the abuser, and yet that woman going back to that man. How many times I've heard women being with a cheater, right, finding out he cheated and going back to him, right? There's stories. I know a story of a woman, right, being abused by a man for 10 years. Allowing this man to abuse her for 10 years. Okay? Sadly, she died as a result. Because abuse, right, those physical abuse will only end in tragedy. And yet, right, this woman, this story I know, plenty of people have tried to help her. Plenty of people have tried to take her away from this situation. Brothers, other uncles, fathers, other men have tried to step in. She goes back to this man. Okay? I've heard this story many times. So don't accept this lies that women say. Right? Abusive relationships, right, don't just happen once and disappears. No. Okay? True abusive relationships don't happen once and disappears. And here's another kicker too. True abusive relationship isn't one-sided, right? It's not one-sided. More than likely, right, by statistics, studies, okay, both partners are abusive to each other. Hell, if a woman, and this is not just hitting a person, right? I guarantee you women are yelling at a man, bringing him down, like verbal abuse. So this is a lie that women love to perpetuate and foster and push out there. Is that, oh, this man is abusive. Lies. Okay? Lies. Here's the thing too. Statistically, lesbian relationships are the most abusive relationships. Women and women are the most abusive relationships. Relationships. Okay? Next is heterosexual relationships. Guess what's last? Gay relationships. Men on men, right? Those relationships are the least abusive relationships. What's the common denominator in the most abusive relationships? Women. Okay? And I'm not saying men aren't abusive, right? That's not what I'm saying. But we put on the facade that, oh, it's men are only abusive. Men are the only ones that cheat. Men are the only one that lies. No. Okay? But this is the thing, right? I honestly believe because women are emotional, right? Women are perceived as victims. We don't see that women can be abusive, especially verbally abusive. Okay? How they put down men, how they yell at men, the nagging, right? We don't talk about that. We ignore that because the results, the violence, abusive, yes, men do that, right? I get that. But we negate how women make men feel, how women push men to that terrible action, but how women push that to men. Like I said, true abusive relationships are not one-sided, right? They are not. And I'm not saying all, but like a lot of them are not just one-sided. It's both people, both partners being toxic. Okay?
See who they actually are. You probably already love them. You're invested in the relationship and you care about this person. You don't want to bail at the first red flag or the first fight or the first time.
And see, like there, right? She just told on herself. Right? The stupidity that you see these red flags. Invested? So really, a man that, like she said, abusive, narcissistic. Right? These red flags that they obviously sees, but you don't want to leave it because you're invested. You will still leave in the end. So what's the difference? Right? The difference is that you prolong this situation, right? This is what I said. You allow these men, these terrible men, to do what they do to you. So why would you blame the men? Okay? If I'm decked out in jewelry and I'm mentally, right? I mean, consciously going into a bad neighborhood, decked out in jewelry, okay? Decked out in jewelry, just walking like at 3 o'clock at night, okay? I'm decked out in jewelry, $100 bills hanging out of my pocket, walking in a terrible neighborhood. Who's stupid there? Me or the ones that's going to rob me, right? Who's more likely to be blamed? Me for being the idiot that does that, okay? Or the ones that take on that opportunity, right? For the ones that doing the robbery that I'm pretty much facilitating, right? So this is the thing, right? Blaming a man that abuses you, but you allow him to abuse you, right? How about have some accountability, some self-autonomy, some self-responsibility? This is the thing, right? Women do not understand accountability. They have no responsibility for their own actions. They blame men. They live in victimhood. That's the insanity that I'm talking about. You want to be victims. Out of her own mouth, she said, you see these red flags, but you don't want to waste a relationship. Waste a relationship with a terrible man, a narcissistic man, a liar man, a man that cheats, a man that abuses. You don't want to waste that relationship. You see value in a relationship with a terrible man, a man that's shown you red flags, and you see value in that. The hypocrisy of women.
And things get sticky or hard. You believe in giving people second chances. You realize
sticky and hard is different than abuse. Different than being a man that lies to you, being with a narcissist, right? What women throw around with every fucking man. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to curse. Okay? Really? Sticky and hard, that's different than being with actually terrible men. Okay?
that people are human, that you're not a perfect person either, that sometimes people just go through a rough patch. And then you make it through that rough patch and things get better. And a couple weeks or a couple months or a couple years down the line, it happens again. And you're even more invested in this person. And maybe you've started to intertwine your lives. Your friends know each other, your family knows each other. Maybe you've moved in together and share bills, or you have a pet. We've also been conditioned as a society to expect that relationships are hard. Ask anyone who's been married for 20, 30, or 40 years. They'll tell you marriage is hard work. You have to make compromises. So that's what we do. And then they tell us to pick better. What if men were just better? I'm not...
This is the thing, right? You cannot expect things from other people. You can only control your own actions. This is the thing where women are so self-deluded at. So you expect someone else to change to what you want them to change. This is the thing where women are synonymous to do this, right? Hopium, potential. These stupid ass words, right? Women love men on hopium, love men on potential, love men on hoping that they will effing change. How about not be stupid and actually see what the man is and love him for what he is? If you don't love him for what he is, don't be with him. This is the insanity with people, right? People, but especially women. You love this man. You love the cheater. You love the abuser. Stop wanting him to change. How about actually picking better? Not picking a man that cheats. Not picking a man that's abusive. Not picking a man that's narcissistic. How about you do that? Stop picking men that, let's say, abusive, but you hope he changes. Stop picking men that you hope will change. This is insanity with women. Stop picking partners that you want to change. This is synonymous with women. Okay? How about love a man for who he is? And you know what? If you don't love it, leave. Women are they're so used to being victims that they will seek out situations to become victims. Okay? The logic in it is that stop loving men that you want to change. Stop. Because now you're blaming men, okay, for the crap that you do. You are blaming men for the crappy men that you want. You are wanting men that you want to change to like the good men. No, how about you pick better? Right? Pick better.
The only one who has this experience. Go to any of
Pick differently.
my videos and read any of the comments. This is a shared experience by the female collective. And
No, duh. See, it's a shared experience by female collective because most females pick terribly. They vet men terribly. Most females, right, go for men that can charm them. They don't go from... Women do not, let me tell you this. Women are not asking a man, are you moral? Do you stand on your principles? Are you monogamous? Have you never cheated, right? Do you want to get married? Do you want to be a good father? No, what do you do, right? Oh, I want a man that's 6 foot. I want a man that's 6 figures. I want a man that's charming, that's funny, right? I want a man that's good looking. I want a man that's good in bed. Does that really produce a good relationship? Being good in bed? Being 6 foot? Having 6 figures? Does that produce a good relationship? No. Women, okay, go for men that will give them butterflies. Women will go for men that can charm them. That's good with their words. 90% of the time, I could say 99% of the times, women will go for men that are good with words. Okay? And sadly, not all men are good with words. Especially Men that stand on their principles. Men that are moral, right? Men that maybe want monogamy. They're terrible with words, right? They're not smooth. These men aren't smooth with their words. They're not good with women. But women think that the men that are charming, right? The men that, talk them off their feet, right? The men that, pick, talk these women up. Well, I think that's kind of a little bit of a red flag because these men are good with women. But I mean, that is what it is. I'm not saying that, no shade to those men.
One person having a beautiful marriage is not an experience of the collective. Honestly, good for you that you have had an amazing marriage for 46 years. But also, shame on you for shaming people that haven't. And
She's isn't she shaming her too? Isn't she shaming people? I mean, it's like,
especially as a woman. And anytime someone says, I've had a beautiful marriage or I have a beautiful relationship, I want to believe them, but then I think about the relationships I've been in that I thought were wonderful.
and that's the thing, right? Women like to put their own experience and think that's the majority. Think that's the collective. Is that really the collective? Right? Because this is the thing, right? Women don't choose men, right, on actually true values. I honestly believe women are more than men choose men on superficial qualities. Okay, what do men choose? Right, men choose women. Men choose women. Okay, for long-term commitment on more stable values, in my opinion. Right, a woman that's domestic. Right, a woman that's loyal. A woman that has a low body count. Right? This is the thing, right? That a lot of people are against, right? Men that want a woman that's low body count. That is actually for stable relationship. A man that wants a woman that's not been used, not been have been with so many men that she's jaded. That look at this. Here's a woman that's gone through the ringers in relationships. Do you want this? Would you be happy with this? Is this something that you want? No. I think this is not desirable. Okay? So.
And then I look back on it and see that actually it wasn't wonderful. So I wonder what's going on that maybe the woman is choosing to not see or that she isn't seeing. People love to tell a woman.
Here's her, I guess, I'm not saying part two, but more of her delusions.
I do believe that as a collective, men are bad. A collective is any group of people.
See, that's the hypocrisy. That's the delusion I want to fight. Right? That's the craziness I want to break. Believing most men are bad. Where do you pick that from? This is the thing where women, right, pretty much put their own personal experience onto all men, onto most men. That's the insanity of women.
People could be a collective. If 8 or 9 out of them are inherently bad, the collective is bad. If 90 out of 100 men are bad to some degree,
it's easy to look at someone else's lived experience and make assumptions. Men say, how could it be so bad? It's easy to say that when you're never lived that experience. It's easy to write off a woman's truth. We're used to it at this point. A woman's truth. To have any woman dated 90% of men? No. There's not a single woman on earth have dated most men. Okay? Hell, a recent study has shown that there are more women, okay, that are in relationships than there are men. Right? Ain't that something? There are more women in relationships than there are men in relationships. What does that say to you? Okay, and this is more in certain age demographic, right? So let's hypothetically, I think 20 to 30, right? Ages 20 to 30. There are more women in that, and this is I'm not. This is not, I'm not quoting the study, precisely, but hypothetically or on average, women's age 20 to 30, okay, compared to men's age 20 to 30. There are more women in that age bracket that are dating than there are men in that same age bracket, right? Isn't that something? So that says to you that there are a lot of women dating older or dating the same men. So really, do women even experience most men?
Collective is bad. The facts are there are more horrible men than there are good men. I think some men who are good men, okay, they don't want to admit to themselves that they are.
Where's the facts? She literally said the facts are there are more horrible men than good men. Where is your facts? What did you say was facts? It's like unbelievable.
Are part of a collective of people that are bad. Women don't just wake up and decide to hate men. It takes a million tiny bad experiences, or maybe even just one bad experience to say these things. Either way, it's just
one, like, does one bad experience with a man qualify for you to say all men are bad or most men are bad? And a million bad experiences with men? Women do not even experience that many experiences with men like that. Million? But look at this, right? She covers her ass by saying, oh, just one. You are qualified to say all men are bad. And you gotta think, right? This is the narrative that's pushed out. Right? Pushed out to thousands of people. And have comment sections of hundreds agreeing, hundreds of likes. The support that all men are bad.
Obviously, not all men are bad, but why do men feel the need to come into the comments and reiterate this point? Women are finally able to.
Why do men have to reiterate this point? Because you literally said all men are bad. It's like, because this is the thing, right? All men, right? And she said, or majority of men are bad, yet you have nothing to prove that. And it's just the insanity.
Openly talk about their negative experiences with men. And I don't understand why there's such this urge to reiterate that not all men are bad. You're not going to change our minds. As a man, you will truly never understand what it's like to be a woman, to feel powerless and harassed constantly on a daily basis, in invisible ways and in very obvious ways. I do believe that as a collective, men are bad. A collective is any group.
Collective, right? So the majority, she says the majority of men. She's pretty much, it's just, this is the thing, right? This is, the misandry is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And this is what we allow. We allow to push this out. I don't know. I think this is disgusting. What do you guys think?